At the mention of Las Vegas Boulevard, many different images come to mind. Towering resorts with iconic exteriors, countless pedestrians in shorts and sandals, bright lights and billboards, street performers and pausing for photos. We don't imagine a public library. Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas and the Boulevard Strip that bears the same name. This is Public Good, a podcast about public spaces and the people you find there. I'm the host, Tashina Lascano. Today we're going inside two public libraries located directly on Las Vegas Boulevard. One is to the north and the other is to the south. We'll speak to the people who go there and learn why they depend on it. We'll also speak with administrators and ask why two libraries that share the same street can be in very different places. We'll see how, when it comes to supporting access to enrichment and information, books are only the beginning.
Why does a library need a security guard?
I believe any place could use a security guard. It's just to protect the patrons and the staff and to deter anybody from doing anything they shouldn't.
Is anybody not allowed in the library?
No, everybody's allowed.
Do you ever have to be the enforcer when somebody talks too loud?
Absolutely. Whenever a staff member needs help, that's what we're here for.
We're just inside the entrance of Enterprise Library, located on South Las Vegas Boulevard, right next to a Budget Suites extended stay and less than a mile from Las Vegas South Premium Outlets. This library is one of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District's 25 locations across the southern part of the state. First created by the state legislature, it's an independent government agency, not part of Las Vegas city government nor Clark County. However, half its board of trustees are appointed by Clark County Commission and half by the Las Vegas City Council. For people walking in for the first time, it takes a minute to get your bearings because even though the space isn't terribly huge, there are many different areas. It's not just a bunch of bookshelves and a circulation desk. There's a small art gallery, recording studio, study rooms, meeting rooms, computers, print copy stations, self-checkout machines, and a tech lab for teens with 3D printers and engineering equipment. But the overall look of the interior is more functional than fancy. Mix-match furniture, old beige carpets, exposed ceilings with harsh overhead lights, and a lot of natural colored wood, popular from the 90s, which is around the time the library was first dedicated. All right, so my name is Tashina. I'm with the Public Good Podcast. Can you tell me your name?
My name is Brandon.
Brandon. Thank you so much for speaking with us. How long have you been coming to this particular library?
6 years now.
What do you like to do here?
Well, I like to read books. I'm currently CDL driver. I've been driving since 2013. Now I noticed that I have to get an updated book to retake my test. So, I mean, other than that, this library is probably the best in Las Vegas.
Did you come here to the library to get those updated books, or you just are just here for leisure?
No, I came here to get the updated books. They have a 2018 version, and they also have a 2021 version. So I'm pretty much updated. You got to think about it. Since 2013, that's a long time now.
What kind of equipment do you drive?
Well, I own a semi truck. The head of it, not the back of, not the 53-footer, and then I own 2 box trucks.
And do you operate them locally, or what are some of your service areas?
Since I've been here 6 years, I'm still learning the highways because one minute I might end up in Arizona or one minute I might end up in California. So I'm still learning my routes, but other than that, I've been taking it lightly with my box trucks and just doing like either local routes or I do like Amazon or Pepsi.
Do you see that your work with your truck and the CDL, do you see that as like your long-term career? Is that what you enjoy doing?
I mean, yeah, I've been loving it since 2013. Locally, since I've been here, I do local routes, but if I went in Vegas, I'd probably long haul.
And you mentioned COVID, and a lot of the libraries were shut down. What did you do during that time?
A lot of areas were shut down. They started boarding up the strip, blocking off the strip with the pavement. The big block pavements, cement blocks or whatever. So I ended up going back out to Seattle for a little bit, where I know to drug drive at.
So you focused on work, traveled. What about those things that you normally get at the library that you weren't able to get because they were shut down?
Peace within self, first and foremost. I'm gonna say a lot of just thinking, because we didn't know what tomorrow was gonna bring us, especially when it came to COVID. It was just emergency, emergency, emergency. So I feel like basically the peace within self.
What do you notice about the other guests at the library?
Like regardless of what age we're at, I feel like everybody wants to learn every day, keep the momentum, positive energy. Like if something comes to mind to where we can't Google it, sometimes we might have to read it in a book. Sometimes our everyday life might be in a book, unless we write it ourselves. So I feel like each and every individual that comes to the library is either reevaluating themselves, whether they're studying, whether they're arts and crafts, whether they're a mentor, or they're taking their peace time.
So is that like a one-time journey, or do people keep coming back?
Well, people always come back to the library. The library is probably the best safe haven ever, other than going out to the beach and just getting your peace. The library is a safe haven, like I said.
And libraries, they offer a lot of different things that they didn't maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago. Do you think more services is a good thing, or that they should keep it simple?
It could be half and half. I feel like social media or the internet is kind of like taking over. But as far as like the originality of it, I feel like the library is basically like the best place to come to.
Anything else you would want to share with listeners?
There's always a book to read, whether it's from K3, K4, newborn, all the way up to 100 years old. We need the libraries, and we want to keep the libraries going as much as we can.
Before we go, I want to check out the Teen Tech Lab. This space is restricted to teens aged 12 to 17, but for the purpose of our program, the Youth Services Department head Sue Yang Peace has agreed to allow us in for a moment. Can you tell us a little bit about the types of equipment we see here in the Tech Lab?
We would be here all day if I had to name everything, but just a few you can see here right now. We have a keyboard, we have a 3D printer, we have a large format printer, the Macs that you can do, Illustrator, Photoshop, it's endless. We have DJ equipment, professional DJ equipment, hydroponics. I mean, it's just endless. I can't even name everything that the teens can get their hands on, but it's also something that they can build a career on and move forward with, and not just have fun with, but build skills with.
What was here before the Teen Tech Lab?
I want to say roughly 6 years ago, it was just a teen area. It housed our young adult books and just a casual space for kids to hang out. And as you can see, it's more like a living room space. It's really comfortable. We have these lounge chairs, a TV. We play movies on. They can play Xbox if they want. As you can see, we have an arcade. And so it was just more relaxed area where they can read and hang out. But now we had funding from Cox. So they gave us the initiative to start all this equipment and bring all these phenomenal resources to the teens. I feel like it's gone unnoticed for a long time that the libraries offer all these free resources that are just phenomenal.
So with this more relaxed space, you got the couches. It's kind of that living room environment, but surrounded by all this great entertainment, great learning resources as well. Do you see a lot of kids in here?
We do. The pandemic obviously took a hit for us. We saw a dip in our patronage, but then just in this last, I would say in the last 2 years, it really did an uptick. And now we see a regular group of teens that come in. They all hang out with each other. They know each other. They're familiar. They're familiar with us. It's like an extended family. They call us by our first name. Especially with this community in Las Vegas and Enterprise, we're very close with the community here, and especially the established staff that have been here for 10 plus years have seen these kids literally grow up and have kids of their own. So it's that kind of well-connected community that is so special about Enterprise Library in particular.
So are there other libraries that offer something similar to this?
Absolutely. We have 25 branches, and all of them are unique and special in their own way that they offer such a variety of resources and just activities.
A lot of us still remember a time when the library was our fountain for information, where we would go for basic access to news, history, facts, and fiction. Our mobile devices have supplanted that role. Even so, libraries are asked to do more than ever. They must continue to maintain massive physical, literary, and historical archives while accommodating creation, distribution, and consumption of digital media and information. In the face of this variegation and mobile disruption, the work of the libraries has increased. Clearly, this is about more than access to information. If that were the case, the wealth of information on the internet, combined with online research databases, ebooks, audiobooks, streaming media, would be sufficient to replace our libraries. The amount of information we have available at a fingertip is overwhelming to imagine. No human could ever absorb all the information available to us online. Media is created at a far greater rate than can ever be consumed, even when we don't include data behind paywalls. Libraries provide an additional public value, in addition to access to information, which continues to attract people of all ages. The internet has a lot of information, but for me and many others, it doesn't have a lot of answers. The internet is an amazing source for escape, but it's not the best place for enrichment. It's effective for communication, but can lack a feeling of connection. It's infinite thought and infinite void.
We're now at the opposite end of Las Vegas Boulevard, past the Strip, past Fremont, but not all the way to Nellis Air Force Base or the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Technically, we're in the city of North Las Vegas, outside City Hall. 10 years ago, the city moved North Las Vegas Library from its original location, not far on Civic Center Drive, to within the City Hall building at a time when North Las Vegas Library District was financially struggling and could no longer afford to continue maintaining the original building structure made in 1966. Similar to the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, North Las Vegas Library District was also established by state legislature. However, it is under municipal management by the city of North Las Vegas. Let's go inside. City Hall houses a great deal of departments. North Las Vegas is home to more than 250,000 residents, one of the state's fastest growing cities. The library is on the first floor. It's a smaller, more intimate space compared to the library on the south side of the Las Vegas Strip. And when you walk in, it's actually a bunch of bookshelves and a circulation desk. We ran into Karen here at the North Las Vegas Library inside City Hall. Karen, have you been to this library before?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
What brought you here today?
I came to check out some books to continue a series I'm reading. I'm reading The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. He has a lot of books, so this is like the fourth of his series, I believe, or the third, so I've read all of them. So this is probably like my 12th book by him that I'm reading. So yeah, they're really interesting if you like Greek mythology.
How long have you been coming to this library?
Probably like 2 years now. Yeah, I used to go to the Clark County Library up on Flamingo in Maryland because I used to go to UNLV, so I would just kind of stop by over there. And then now this one's closer to home, so I come here instead.
What do you do when you visit?
Usually just come check out books to take them home to read, or check out books to read to my nieces, and yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Or sometimes if there's like a little activity going on around, I join in. do that. Yeah.
What kind of books do your nieces like to read?
Just anything. We just like to read anything that's like, colorful. We try to mix it up with different types of authors, like people of color, to get them to learn about different cultures, books that have to do with like math and stuff like that, counting. So
What do you notice about some of the other folks that visit the library?
usually when I come here, there's people just sitting around reading, or, other people with their kids checking out other books. So I feel like a lot of folks like to come here and just sit and relax and read.
And you'll probably visit again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I have more books on my list that I need to read. So I really like how quiet it is here, and how it's feels like very safe space to come, for the community. So yeah.
Oh, hi, Tashina.
Nice to meet you.
You as well. I appreciate the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
We're here at the office of the North Las Vegas District Library Director, Forrest Lewis, inside North Las Vegas City Hall. He's been with North Las Vegas Library District for over 20 years, and the Las Vegas Clark County Library District before that. Mr. Lewis has served as Library Director for 10 years. Can you tell us a little bit about how you support the library district in your role?
Basically, I'm in charge of setting the direction for the programming that we're having, the services that we offer. Even more important, I think, which is nice, is as a city department, we're one district in the state that's actually a library district plus a city department. And so I also get to be on the city's executive team, working with all the other departments of the city, which is really fun part of my job as well.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I'm glad that you mentioned that it's the only library that is attached to a city government.
Correct. Just kind of a little history with our library district is we didn't actually become a library district until 1996. Before that, we were actually a department of Parks and Recreation Department. And so once the decision was made at that time that they wanted to have a dedicated stream for the library district to make sure that library services were covered and stayed within the city. And so at that time, we worked with Carson City, and they were able to create the actual North Las Vegas Library District as a funding source for the libraries. But because of the way it was set up, we don't have the full resources to actually be a complete separate library district. So we still are a department of the city, and we rely on a lot of the city resources and other aspects of being part of the city that help us maintain the full services for the public.
So what is the relationship between the North Las Vegas Library District and the Las Vegas Clark County Library District?
Basically, we have a contract agreement. We get provided courier service. So we get courier service 6 days a week at our branches. Our patrons have access to all of their materials. Their patrons have access to all of our materials. For a lot of people, when they come into our libraries, they don't really notice the difference that much of whether they're going into a Las Vegas Clark County Library or North Las Vegas Library. So we try to keep things as easy for our patrons as we can. We try to keep our policies in sync with their policies as much as we can, so that it's a really easy transition that people can go to pretty much any library in most of the valley and be able to get the same services as they would anyplace else.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why these two library districts kind of coexist in kind of the same area?
A lot of it, I have to remember, is the history of the valley. And if you go back in time when these districts were created, there was quite a bit of difference between Henderson, Las Vegas, North Las Vegas. And so they really were separated. Today, it's a little, can be a little confusing for people because, everything's kind of grown together, right? Back in that time period, there really were, separate cities and distances and when they were created. One thing I've always enjoyed about working with North Las Vegas is we are in a smaller area. We are very concentrated. We get to know our specific community, very well, and we get to have a really good feel of how we can best help them.
You've been with the North Las Vegas Library District for quite a long time. So you were part of the organization back when it was at the old North Las Vegas Library before you moved to City Hall. What was happening at that time before the move?
Anybody that's been, associated with the Valley for any length of time knows that the Great Recession happened in 2009. It really kicked in 2010, 2011. And like everybody else, the city was hit extremely hard during that period. And, the city as a whole lost over half its workforce. Our library district, we had, I believe, like 42 employees. We went down to 16 at one point. So we had to make some very, very tough choices. One, we had an 18,000 square foot building that was built in the 60s. And it was getting very long in the tooth. There were a lot of things that were coming up that needed fixing that we did not have the resources for. We also had a massive reduction in staff. You have to have a larger amount of staff just for safety reasons to manage a building like that. So we were in a real crisis situation during that period, and we worked very closely with the city. What we had decided is the need in this community, especially in the downtown North Las Vegas, we had to have library services down here. So at the same time at City Hall, there was a lot of space available. We had the space in City Hall that wasn't being occupied at that time. And it just really was a perfect fit. It allowed us to maintain services downtown, to keep a level of staff that we could provide the best services for the public. And the city was able to utilize the space from our previous library for other purposes that were needed. And so it was really a best case scenario at that time to keep the library moving forward, because had the city not been able to work with us, and had we not been able to move over here, I don't know that there would have been a way that we would have been able to keep actual library services downtown.
So now you're here in City Hall on Las Vegas Boulevard, staying in this area, reaching folks here in the community that really need those services. For somebody who's been in libraries for over 25 years, how would you describe the space here inside City Hall?
I sometimes call it a mini full service library. The idea of this library itself was that, the computer lab was extremely important. A lot of our residents do not have high-speed internet, but we also were able to, bring the books over here. But the nice thing is it's really very fortunate that we have, our partnership with Las Vegas County and our other areas, because even we do have a smaller book collection, but any of our residents can request books from any library in Las Vegas, Clark County, any North Las Vegas library, and we get that delivered here. Usually it arrives within a few days, a week generally at the most, if it's available. So it really hasn't been a big hindrance for us really to be in a smaller location, because we do have access to other resources, and we're still able to provide all the basic services that a normal library would. So I'd like to tell people, it's like, yes, we're a library district, but it's almost like each individual branch is its own library district, because they have such a different demographics and needs in the community. And as a smaller district, we're really able to give our librarians and our branch managers the freedom to cater to their specific community. And even though we have universal services and we try to keep things as unified as possible in some areas, there's very different focuses at each one of the branches, so that we make sure that specific community is getting the service that they need, and not just a cookie cutter across all of our district.
Speaking of services, do you know kind of approximately what percentage of your budget goes towards digital initiatives versus physical initiatives there at library locations?
It's probably almost about 50-50 at this point, what we spend on databases, digital books, all the digital resources, compared to what we're purchasing in actual physical books and the materials that people come in and check out.
As somebody who's been in libraries for a long time, as we mentioned, if you were to go into your time machine, go into the future, do you think there will ever be a time of a fully digital library, or is there always going to be physical locations?
There will always be the need for physical locations. People have to gather, right? There's a human need to be around other people, and the libraries are a perfect place for that. We're a neutral area where people can come in, they can share ideas. The library is designed for that. Whatever realm, we can help the public, the the libraries can change and adapt to that. So we're not tied to any one individual service. We're not Blockbuster. We can adapt and we can change. And books, believe me, are not going anywhere anytime soon. That's still a major part of what we do. But that doesn't, as the books circulation goes down, the digital circulation goes up, we're constantly innovating and bringing in new services to the community and keeping up on, up to date on what the best services we can provide. And libraries are very innovative in that realm.
We spoke about the innovative services, but also you mentioned community safety. I feel like people also come to the library sometimes just as shelter from the heat and the cold, as a safe place to use the restroom. What is your reaction to those who may view those basic human needs counted among library services?
Well, that is a part of the library. When people come to use the library, they could be using it for any reason. And I've had people actually, conversation before where somebody might be coming in and using the computer. And, we've actually had other patrons that come and say, well, this person isn't using it for education purposes. My response to that is like, look, our job as librarians is not to look over the shoulder of somebody when they're using our computer or using our services. They can use those services for whatever purpose they like. We are a public library. I hope people are coming in if it's 115 degrees outside and they need to get out of the heat for a little bit. Libraries are designed to help everybody in the community. If somebody's struggling and they're having trouble and they need our help, if we can be the institution that lifts them up from A to B, that's exactly what we're here for.
Having these conversations about Las Vegas libraries, it's a little at odds with how libraries have been portrayed in popular culture through the decades. True, you may still have to keep your voice down, but libraries aren't the exclusive territory of scholars, students, and outcasts like we sometimes see in movies. There are people making music, fabricating 3D models, accessing computers, reading comic books, hosting workshops, discovering local artwork, and meeting friends. I think what is most incredible about the library environments we see today is that it can, and likely does, benefit a doctoral student to an equal extent as someone in our community who cannot read. No matter our background or education, the library provides plenty to advance our quality of life. Libraries are more accessible, diverse, and inclusive than any time prior. What I love about libraries is that they are a shared, active, living monument to the idea that we, as a community, believe that information is a basic human right. Anyone can walk in and use the library. There is no income validation, no ID check, no age limits, no subscription fee. Admittedly, barriers can start to arise pretty soon after entering the library. Any guest who wants to use a computer, loan resources, print or copy, use a meeting space, and the like will need to have a library card, which often requires local residency, email address, and ID verification. Those things aren't easy for everybody in our community. People go to the library for answers, enrichment, connection, insight, entertainment, and escape. Is that really much different from what folks are looking for on the rest of Las Vegas Boulevard? But the libraries make it available free to everyone, just with a little more imagination and personal effort from the guest. It's something the two public libraries we visited both share, in addition to sharing one of the most iconic streets on the globe. The street is Las Vegas Boulevard. The community is Las Vegas. I'm host Tashina Lascano. Join me for the next episode of Public Good, where we're hitting the streets of the city's service streets and intersections to see what's under the brightly colored umbrellas of Southern Nevada's sidewalk vendors. Plan to listen in. Thank you for being part in the Public Good.